So happy that you've all come out to join us on this busy Saturday to see our classes play. So today's production, as you'll read, is entirely based on interviews that were conducted this past summer by 4 UC Merced graduate students who talked to people in our area who are on the front lines of environmental injustices. And our class, which is 24 undergraduates and 9 graduate students, we've spent the semester reading those and turning them into a series of scenes and monologues that you'll see today. So everyone in class, and several of them are here today, as well as all of the actors have been behind the scenes doing acting, writing, directing, designing, marketing, and documenting the play. And it's been wonderful to work with them, and I'm so proud of what they've done. So the show's about an hour long, and enjoy.
Environmental injustice. Environmental injustice comes down to the unfair treatment of people. Environmental injustice mostly disproportionately affects people of color who have less access to health care, to nature, and a fair chance at life itself. And it goes beyond race. It's also about age, class, geography, and the non-human. We should think about the rights of animals and nature itself. Who gets to thrive in this world?
It's a lot about class, really. Everyone except for the elites face environmental injustices. You can identify it in the kinds of hazards people face in jobs like construction, agriculture, and manufacturing.
Environmental justice is really looking at who is experiencing environmental degradation, who gets a share in the benefits of the more affluent communities, and recognizing that low-income communities and people of color do not receive the same benefits.
And it means that those who are least responsible for climate change, those living in poverty, children, animals, are usually the ones who experience the most. I saw it in my native Afghanistan, and I see it here too.
Muchos dicen zip code matters, porque dependiendo de donde vives, tienes acceso a la salud. Bueno, hay acceso a la salud, pero la limitación es que no tienes los recursos económicos para poder ir a los doctores. No tienes un seguro o vives lejos de los recursos. Entonces, por eso dicen zip code matters.
We experience more of the burden of pollution. There's poison in our air, our water, and our food. Here, in the Central Valley, where most of us are minorities, living below the poverty line, there's pesticides in our air that hurt us.
I think we often worry about climate change, and we have almost cataclysmic feelings about it. You know, I hear people saying nowadays they don't want to have children because of climate change. What have we done?
At first, we thought that we wouldn't see it here in the U.S., that we were immune to it, but it's happening everywhere in the world.
Everywhere. It's everywhere you look.
We thought we wouldn't see it here in the U.S., but it seems it happens everywhere in the world.
That's true, you know, so many of you have moved from other countries to the U.S., and yet your struggles are the same, if not worse, so thank you guys for sharing your stories. Oh, hi.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Shia.
Hi, I'm Charika.
Good to meet you.
Aisha, hey. Asked me to join you today, but my son is out there playing. Is it okay if I check on him once in a while?
Oh yeah, just go ahead and take a seat.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for all coming today. I know you're all busy with work and kids. So to reintroduce myself, I'm Shia. I'm an assistant professor in public health at the University of California, Merced. I teach epidemiology and I research how the environment impacts health, specifically in California and Central Valley area.
Yeah, I've been talking to Shia for 2 years, ever since my little Euro was born. I'm 24, and for 22 years I've been living in Afghanistan. And in Afghanistan, I saw that mining companies, when extracting minerals like coal, did not protect their workers from breathing in poisonous airs. You know, in Afghanistan, it's poverty and misery that drive people to these dangerous jobs.
That's true, but even here in the U.S., the conditions that you guys are living in are not exactly suitable for somebody who's due so soon. I mean, a lot of people have done research on how the environment affects respiratory or cardiovascular diseases, but there's not really been a lot of research on the development of the fetus, which is why when I met Aisha when she was pregnant, I really realized I wanted to focus on that.
Yes.
When our first son was born, we tried to relocate somewhere where the baby wouldn't be exposed to bad air, but we never had the option of moving. So this is what we have to call home.
And you know what I find so frustrating? That everyone around us, including our families, expect us to function as though we are in normal circumstances, you know?
Just as we would if we lived anywhere else.
Except in an unhealthy environment and fewer resources to actually deal with the health problems. Oh, and of course, everyone expects us to act as though we should be grateful we are here in the U.S.
Yes, no one even understands what we women go through just to keep our families alive on a daily basis.
Sanjay, no. No, don't do that, baby.
Your son will be fine. My 10-year-old daughter is out there. She will make sure that he is okay. I tell everyone that she's a better mother than I am.
Yeah, she takes care of all the kids in the neighborhood when they're sick.
Oh, yes, the little nanny. It breaks my heart sometimes seeing her out there taking care of them like that. These children deserve so much better.
Watching the children suffer is the worst, isn't it? You know, Shia, back in India last summer, it came a little earlier than ever before. I live in New Delhi, and it felt like a furnace. I know so many who died because of the heat waves. And then, of course, there was a shortage in coal, no electricity, no way to cool down. It was terrible.
I can't even imagine what that must have been like. And the water shortage, it would have affected the farmers, right?
Acha, most of my family are farmers. So with the water shortages, they just barely struggle to survive, you know.
Oh, and we have some friends in Pakistan and Sri Lanka who said that the heat waves there are making it so hard to observe fasting.
That's right. And you know what one of my worst experiences was? When in Delhi, a garbage dump which was about, say, 200 feet away caught fire. I can still feel the black smoke in my lungs. My son wouldn't stop coughing for months after that. You know, I tried to do something about it. To talk to some government officials, see what
Don't
could be.
even get me started on trying to change things. I mean, I am so tired of my time being wasted. You know, my husband and I sent so many petitions and proposals. The only thing that is left for me now is to go in this pregnant state and sit on the mayor. Then you will know what it is like to not be able to breathe.
Oh, you okay? You know, we moved here determined to give our son a better life. Look at where we live. I mean, I just don't know how Aisha manages it, because we wanted to have another child too, remember? But in these conditions, no way.
Yeah, for my research, I focus on how the environment affects the developing fetus and shortly after, and sadly, you have a point.
So what, are we just not to have any more children?
Too late.
You know, Veronica, I'd really love to hear your story too.
Yes, well, as you know, on both sides of the border, everyone suffers from the heat. In New Mexico, I'm so sorry, sweetie. Here, try one of these. They helped me. As I was saying, in New Mexico, everyone suffers from the heat. We need AC units now. If we didn't before, with the rising temperature, there's just a long waiting list for it, and it's just too hot. And then now, in California, where we live now, it seems like the temperature is just skyrocketing. It's like fire and ash. It used to be, I don't know, a couple of weeks of extreme heat, and now it's just getting hotter and hotter for longer and longer.
It's like you move away from one unhealthy environment just to find yourself stuck in another unhealthy place.
And politician after politician comes and visits our cities and talks about making a change, and then they just use us for the political campaigns and turn a blind eye to our suffering.
If I hear the phrase climate change one more time from a politician who denies it or uses it to score political points, you know what? I'll go and sit on them. They want to know what climate change really looks like. Tell them to look at us, the life we lead, where we live, and our children, the diseases they carry, allergies, valley fever, cancers.
But is there any hope for us?
The most consistent information that I have received in the past few years is that the environmental hazards are responsible for about a quarter of all of our disease burden. That's terrible,
understand, all of these environments have just been getting worse and worse in the past few years.
My family was often evacuated for, days, weeks. I remember my parents escaped the fire 3 times. To stay cool in the push of plus 80 temperature, you had to breathe smoke all night long. It was just torture.
The fires are so bad now that I don't even know if I have friends far enough away to help escape the smoke in a large fire.
My feelings about fire have evolved. I used to think that forest fires were something that only happened in heavily vegetated areas, places where people didn't clear, but I always felt like my community would be okay, and that firefighters would be able to protect any area that they need to protect. But then we had the Paradise Fire, which leveled an entire community, and I don't feel that way anymore.
In my community, we lost over 100 homes because of the Oak Fire. That fire was just 2.5 miles from my own house last year. I was scared. People in my community, they lost everything. They were just devastated.
Fire is such an important natural process, and it's to be taken seriously, right? We have a problem, not because fire equals bad, but because of the last 100 years, people have been suppressing fires, which resulted in a big buildup of brush and all sorts of flammable stuff. Not enough fires in the last century means we have more dangerous fires now.
Wildfire-specific smoke seems to be increasing the risk of preterm birth in communities of color, such as Hispanic, Black, Asian, and Native communities, all of which are impacted by wildfire-specific smoke more than the white population.
It was so hot over there that I had never experienced such heat. Then we moved to the UC Merced campus. The sun feels closer here. My hair started turning gray and I got skin wounds, and the doctor at the camp said it was because of all this hot weather. Every year it gets worse.
No fan, nothing helps.
Every year it gets hotter and hotter for longer periods of time.
We know why this is happening, but it's hard to find money and power.
Damn, it's so fucking hot. I need water. It isn't even sunny out right now. Only the dry and painful heat. It has to be at least 100 degrees, even though it's already September. Every year it seems to be getting more hot and becoming more harder to care for the crops. Even the birds can't take it much more. Now it's too hot. Now it's too cold. It's too rainy. It's not enough rain. Damn. All this hard-ass work we put into this job every day, and we aren't even able to provide for our families. It would be nice if we can take home the fruit of our labor to our children, or at least be paid a decent wage so we can feed them ourselves. Instead, the more affluent families, they never wonder where their next meal comes from. It comes from us. It's through our work that our bosses make their money, and yet our working conditions are shit, our pay is shit. Everything is so damn hard. Fuck. This heat is unbearable. Every day I check the temperature. 100, 101, 102, 108. Are you kidding me? 112? It's the greenhouse gases trapped in our atmosphere and turning us all into crispy bacon. Did this have to happen? Oh, we didn't know this was happening. Or, oh, it's a natural occurrence. Stop it. We made this happen. We are Oppenheimer himself. And it's making us sick. Here in the valley, this heat is making valley fever so much worse. Even when I was young and had a healthy body, my immune system couldn't take it. And I couldn't suppress the symptoms. And now, it's laid dormant inside me, damaging my nervous system for the rest of my life. So I know I can't feel better. And there's no cure. And healthcare in the valley, can I get a witness? Wow. I thought I was a preacher for a second. But I'm just a farm worker. An underpaid farm worker. But there's one thing that I can say is that I still hold passion for these precious crops. They deserve to grow from the soil. Hey you, stop thinking that we will avoid catastrophe by building carbon capture or moving to Mars. This is happening now, here first. Engineer real solutions. What are we going to do? What will we do?
Gotcha. Miss Dunn, why don't you come on out here? I found something you might want to take a look at.
Mommy!
Sorry. What is it? What did you find?
Holy shit! Sorry, it's just the police did a number on the yard. I'm so sorry, what was it? Out here? Somebody tried to start a campfire out here.
You know how it is. Some horse will do anything to get out of paying for a campsite.
This almost burned my house down.
So did the last fire you started out here before, but that one was electrical. Had nothing to do with roasting marshmallows.
This isn't funny, Dave. That fire started 3 hours away from town. This one started right here. Practically in my backyard. My kids were home when the fire started.
All fires have to start somewhere.
Dave, I have lived here for over 30 years with my family, and every year since moving here, we've been evacuated due to wildfire. I have to pack up my kids, my husband, my dog with them, everything into little boxes, just in case. But this time, oh no, this time there wasn't enough time to plan or pack or anything. Because somebody decided that they didn't want to read a damn manual before lighting a campfire.
Or pay for a campsite.
Or pay for a campsite.
Listen, I understand your
Cut the
upset.
bullshit, Dave. You and I, we work together for Christ's sake. I'm not just another resident that you're dropping in to check up on.
Okay. Kirstie, this can't be that big of a shock to you. You live right outside a national park. This area gets a lot of traffic. You know that. Squatters, tourists looking to get out of paying campsite fees, and then we have the heat, the dry weather. This was a matter of time.
You can't just say it like that, Dave. Like, this was bound to happen. Lots of people live in areas like this, and they don't have to worry about their homes being destroyed all the time.
Not everyone lives in the Central Valley or the foothills.
Millions of people live in these areas, Dave. Are you telling me that they're just supposed to accept that this is their reality? Take it or leave it? I'm a branch chief and you're a park ranger. We have to be able to fix it.
But you're not a branch chief right now, are you? You're a mom at home with the knowledge that this thing almost destroyed your house. This just isn't going to be the last of it.
Right. You know, how am I supposed to have this work for a while if I have to stop thinking about this and everything?
No, Kirstie, you don't believe that. I lived here too, you know? And when the fire broke out, I was thinking the exact same things you were. It was like, here we go again. Another fire, another evacuation, more of this. But I was at work, so I wasn't just staying. I was doing good. I had to put the job first. But I never really regret that, you know? My parents used to take me to Yosemite all the time when I was just a kid, and I've always wanted to be a ranger. I idolized them, wanted to be just like them. All I've ever wanted was to protect the park and raise my family here. But it's our fault the fire was bad.
What do you mean by our fault?
The Paiute, the Miwok, the Aleutian, and the indigenous peoples who lived here for thousands of years before us, they knew how to take care of this land. They had ways of doing prescribed burns in the fall to increase acorn production and to reduce fuel buildup, you know, sticks, leaves, grass, all the stuff that makes forest fires so dangerous.
Right. Then along comes the Dunbar-Kari in 1854 thinking that they discovered this land. And then the tourists, and then the miners, and then the military, and then the government.
Yes, and Smokey the Bear. You know, Smokey the Bear was responsible for some of the worst degradation and propaganda for forest fire prevention, just by saying only you can prevent fires. Because suddenly the whole nation started adopting this methodology of just completely suppressing all fires, which of course led to unnatural fuel buildup in our forests and parks, which stopped getting cleared out. Now that's unnatural, because then when fires did happen, the effects were
the job first. I mean, I get asked these questions all the time at work, but I don't just work here. I live here, and I love it here. But when it comes to conversations about fire or pollution, I'm just so sick and tired of being told that I need to recycle more or not travel, as if it's each individual's responsibility to save the planet. Why are we putting pressure on the most polluting industries to find better ways to save the only planet that we've got? I'm a branch chief of environmental planning at a national park. And every time people ask me these kinds of questions, they expect me to know the answer. As if I can depersonalize myself, like this isn't happening right here in my own backyard. What if I don't always want to answer as a branch chief?
Don't.
What?
Don't. You're not any of those things separately, Kirstie, Mom, branch chief. You're all of them. I needed the job because I love it, but it's different for you. This fire was different for you. This is your home, your yard. You should be able to talk about it as yourself. Kirstie, you know?
Yeah. You know, you were right. Earlier, I didn't mean what I said.
I know.
I do believe that what we do makes a difference.
I know.
It's hard sometimes, you know?
I know. See you at work tomorrow?
Yeah. Oh, and Dave? Thanks.
I hope someone writes a play about us. And I hope they tell everyone about how we love the earth. That even though my feet rarely touch the ground, I feel the soul of the earth and hold it in my heart in ways that most people never will, because they're so busy extracting things from it, you know. Too arrogant and money-minded to learn from us, who know the earth so well, who sing it to sleep and rise every morning with the sun. My mother used to talk about a time when children weren't born without birth defects caused by all this. A time when our stories mattered. Our lives consequential, you know. But now nobody wants to listen. But I can tell you earth stories. Stories that my grandmother told my mother and my mother told me. The earth knows us, and we know the earth. It's knowledge created when our hearts and bodies and minds make contact with forests, not axes with trees. And isn't it beautiful to know that the knowledge of the local communities, including the Mibak and the Okats, continue to nourish us? When I was born and my mother realized, I wasn't going to have a normal childhood, she gave me this one thing she had from her childhood, a small polar bear soft toy. She said it reminded her of a play she had read about a relationship between a woman from Inuit community and a polar bear. I would feel less lonely thinking about how interconnected we all are, Even though we are so far from the Arctic, we are all just one living, breathing organism. If one of us gets hurt, so do the rest of us. Like the Arctic losing its ice now means increased place in global warming and rising sea levels.
For some, moving here was for better circumstances, with hopes of getting closer to the American dream. We had heard about racism, but we experienced it for the first time here. And when we compare our neighborhoods to the white ones on the other side of town, it just makes us upset. That's my baby girl. She's got allergies from the smoke and dust here in town. But she was healthy before we moved to the Central Valley. And now she's sick. A lot.
My brother and I play soccer. And when the fires came, they couldn't play for days because of the smoke. School was canceled because of that.
Man, when the fires first came during COVID and we were stuck inside, oh my God, was it awful. It was horrible. I go to the park these days and I tell my family, do you remember how bad the weather was last year and the year before that? I do think that this year is better than last year though, although the heat is the same. I'm so grateful for the good weather this year. I even wrote it on a piece of paper and stuck it on the back window of my car. Come on, babe. Let's go.
Someone like me, whose movement is already restricted, the pandemic and wildfire were nightmares. What do you do when you're made doubly immobile and can barely breathe? They say that when you're born into naturally difficult circumstances, your class, your social race, your color, your economic status makes you vulnerable to natural disasters. Who said any of this is natural? Huh? There is nothing natural about the way I was born. You did this to us. The powerful decided that their stories were more important than ours. Why are some lives more grief-worthy than others? And when did breathing become a political issue? But humans and nature weren't always at war with each other. But the powerful created stories about wildernesses as passive, as resources, and they abused them. And they took and took. They decided that our stories about living with the land were just fables, part of a savage past. But we lived with this land for thousands of years and we didn't kill it. When do we get to heal, Our broken bodies and broken stories?
Too much water. I was born in Vietnam, an area heavily impacted by hurricanes. Our house had a roof that was made of leaves and bamboo. And every year we had a hurricane, it got destroyed. We had to rebuild. And then the next year, we built it again.
Not enough water. We used to have glaciers in Yosemite. Not more. The wild glaciers, the only one we got left, and it's disappearing fast.
Too much water. When flooding happens, many people don't have flood insurance. They also don't have credit to fall back on. Many people don't even have bank accounts because they live at the margins of society. So when things like this happen, there's no safety net. There's nothing to protect them. And when Canada flooded, people lost their homes, their vehicles, they lost work, and unfortunately did not receive any unemployment.
Not enough water. The rivers are drying up and it's impacting some of the plants and trees. They're dying. They're drying up. The drought has impacted the trees and the plants, and we're losing some that we may never get back.
When Canada flooded, we were the first ones to show up at the fairgrounds with portable showers. People were wading through waist-deep water, and they would have had to wait to get clean, because it was 3 days before the FEMA shower service even showed up.
Snow. And we've lived through some pretty large snowstorms too. Lots of times without that in Rico County. And this last winter, that was no exception. It was a historic winter, and there's lots of damage.
I had a dream like this once. It was
years before we started the business. I dreamt there was a pool of water right here in the middle of the room. You could see the sky through the ceiling. I said, there's going to be a swimming pool in here. When I woke up, I thought it was just a nightmare. But that dream, I'm starting to think it was my intuition all along. January 9th, 2023. It was raining pretty hard. An employee closed up shop around 8 p.m. An hour later, I get a call from the tattoo shop next door. You better get over here. The whole roof collapsed and there's water pouring in non-stop. So, we knew the roof had a leak for a while now. We'd told the property owners about it, and they'd sent someone to fix it, but they just never seemed concerned. We tried to get them to fix the roof for years. I was looking for that. This is a metaphysical shop, you know, right here in Merced. We sell lots of healing stones and handmade items, herbs, jewelry, incense, candles, that sort of thing. If you ask me how I ended up with a shop like this, I'd tell you it was destiny. I had cancer about 11 years ago, and it got me onto the spiritual path. I just wanted to share what I learned during my treatments, whether it was herbs and meditation or self-love. It's just good feelings. And I wanted to share that wherever I could. The cancer I had is called rhabdomyosarcoma, muscle and tissue cancer. It's also really rare, especially for people my age. I was only 29 when I got diagnosed. After my first round of treatment failed, I had to do intensive chemo in the Bay Area. I'd live at a hospital for a month at a time, and then I'd come home for 21 days. And then I'd go back, and I'd do it again. That was really hard on my body, my heart, everything. During my treatments, a nurse once happened to ask me if I lived in Modesto. When I told her I lived in Merced, she and this other nurse gave each other this telling look. We're getting so many young kids in that area getting diagnosed with these weird, rare cancers, she said. And they see these rare cancers all the time. Maybe not so rare anymore. They say it comes back to all the agriculture surrounding us. And I grew up in a strawberry field. But I couldn't just leave Merced. My friends, my family, my community, they're all here. I've been in remission for a long time now, and I hope and I pray that it sticks, but I still think about what that nurse said. I thought that getting sick again would be the worst thing. And then this happened! The people who were sent to survey the damage said that 4 tons of water had pooled on the roof. I mean, it's a miracle no one was hurt. Our employee closed up shop only an hour before the roof collapsed. 3 buildings flooded, all in one night. We had this dream, and we worked so hard, and we were so proud of what we were able to build, and it was gone. At first, I was worried about the building, the business, and then I saw what happened to Granada, and it broke my heart. Seeing all those families huddled at the Merced Fairgrounds, it wasn't about us anymore. That's when we decided to salvage everything we could out of the clothing and donate it to the cause. All those people lost their homes, their cars, their pictures, everything. We tried to get this place fixed up, you know. We fought with the landlords for the longest time to fix it right, to fix it properly this time. But it just wasn't meant to be. So, we moved to a different building. It's a fresh start, you know. I just like to come back here sometimes to remember. You can feel like the end of the world seeing a place like this. But there's hope still. There's always hope.
Gentlemen and ladies of our wonderful town, Rosacea, California. I, Mr. Alfonso Ladd, come before you today as a candidate for mayor. Rosacea has long since been one of the most productive almond-growing industries in our wonderful state. As founder and CEO of Live Almonds, I have used my decades of experience to turn my father's small almond-growing farm into a multi-thousand-acre almond-growing empire. My company employs almost 20% of Rosacea's population and creates and produces almost 15% of all of the almonds grown in our wonderful state. As mayor of Rosacea, I will spare no expense to increase our almond productivity. Just think about it. With fewer regulations, we will be able to farm more almonds, meaning more jobs and more tax revenue for our town. Just think of the possibilities. More almonds in our orchards means more police on our streets, better roads, and a higher fence on our southern border. Law and order and almonds. Felicia Rivera's plan leads to chaos and poverty, but my plan leads to peace and prosperity. Cut. Oh, hi, sweetie. Hi, Sam. Some of these campaign ads is kind of fun, you know.
That's great, Dad.
Come here. These are our almonds. All my life, I've been in love with their divine protein content. Their flavor, their delicious milk, and their incredible return on investment. Here you go. The second I get into office, nothing will be able to come between my almonds and the water and the chemicals that they drive. Nobody, and I mean nobody, will be able to stop me from spraying and irrigating and keeping those crops healthy, not even Felicia Rivera.
So you're just going to take all the town's water, poison the people who live there? What about the jobs you promised? The public services?
Look, I don't recall raising you to be a commie. Okay, look, let me tell you something. And really, sweetheart, it's for the best. The second I get into office, we need to slash those local taxes in half. Get rid of all that legislation that keeps us from growing. Oh, and I'm not going to let our workers unionize, let me tell you that. Just think of the money we'll save. This $1 million campaign is really an investment.
You dishonest motherfucker!
Language, you are my daughter, last I checked.
I am ashamed to be your daughter. I wish I was ever born. My own father, a liar and a thief. This is why Mom left us.
Oh, hush, calm down, sweetheart. It's just business. Why don't you go to bed or something? You'll be less emotional in the morning. Just think of all the good I'm doing for the economy. Think of the profits for us. I mean for other people too, but mostly for us.
Emotional? I'm being emotional. Will you? You're being a bitch!
Ugh, women.
Thank you for your support. People like you are the most important part of... Oh, sorry. Yes, we'll stop calling you. Yes, we'll take you off for this. No, I'm not a commune. Yes.
Not going so well?
No, I swear, half of these people don't even know what a communist is. Anything that might raise diesel prices makes small communism, apparently.
I've got more bad news for you, mi amor.
Us? Nobody.
It's my dad.
It's always your dad.
He's planning on taking all the town's water, using it for his fucking almonds. I swear, they're the only thing he cares about. His almonds and his money. Not this town, not people's health, not even his own daughter.
All he does is take. Fucking capitalist.
I thought you weren't a commie.
I'm a democratic socialist, actually. I thought you would know the difference at least.
Of course, I know the difference. Dummy, you told me on our first date. Remember our fiery discussion about political theory over tacos?
I remember our first kiss better. The hot kiss on my lips made you yell. So, when are you going to tell your dad that you're in love with his campaign rival?
Oh, I don't want to. I don't want to get disowned. Not for being a lesbian or for dating his opponent. He'll kick me out. Write me out of his will.
I thought you didn't care about the wedding or your dad.
I don't, but if I inherit his almond operation, think of it could do for me. Stop spraying pesticides, cut down his trees, regenerate the soil, use less water, for real this time. Make this town a better
church has helped this community, I wouldn't know where to start. We've been quite busy these last few years. At the height of the pandemic, we were feeding about 4,300 families a week. In a span of 2.5 years, we've got roughly 250,000 families. Whereas before, we were only feeding about 400 families a month. What a blessing. And our motto has always been, we want to feed our community. We want to help them. What are we here for if not to assist those in need? So, when the pandemic hit, our first instinct was not to shut down like the rest of the world, but to pick up the phone and make some calls. We were blessed enough to be on the list of places receiving food. The government had a food response program, and we would receive boxes of food and distribute them to organizations in need. But the issue with that was we had to reapply every 6 weeks, and there were times that we couldn't. So I started reaching out to my community, to my representatives, my senator, the mayor, asking for food, and I told them, desperate people do desperate things. And if you want to see that in effect, then ignore me. But if you truly care about the community you represent, you will step up and you will help. The church has done a lot of work, and we kept feeding people until the community food response program closed down, which broke my heart. So, we started working with local food banks and farmers. We received donations from grocery stores, from farmers, even private donations. I was surrounded by volunteers. Some were members of the church, some were not. It didn't matter. We couldn't have done it without them. God bless them all. But when the pandemic went up, we were hit with fires and flooding. Our community can't quite seem to catch a break. We sent food to evacuation sites. We also sent them necessities. And we also worked to collect and distribute fire buckets. And we cleaned homes. And we bandaged and topped their roofs. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have to do these things. There wouldn't be fires or flooding. People would have what they need. But this world isn't perfect. It never will be. But me and the community will be here to help and assist in anything the community needs. Community has never been more important than in times like these.
Where I come from in LA, there's a town called Wilmington. The air quality there is terrible because of the oil refineries and ships. Most of the people who live there are Latinos because, you know, it's cheap, low-cost living area. And there's really no motivation to change it, no desire to create solutions to address people's health issues. Because, you know, who really cares about a bunch of Latinos anyway, right?
There's a problem with people polluting in excess and being disrespectful of places where people of color predominantly live. Leaving used mattresses in the streets, throwing garbage everywhere, needles from heroin use, especially in the parks. But in the nicer, richer neighborhoods, they have disproportionately more resources to help clean their parks.
In the Central Valley, asthma is a very serious issue. Many healthy people get asthma when they move to the Central Valley. I've seen so many cases.
Remember those pesticides from those farms I grew up next to? A lot of the people I grew up with and went to high school with, a lot of us got really weird, rare cancers. A nurse once told me that the pesticides in the Central Valley are responsible for that.
It is very much known that there are higher levels of particulate matter close to oil and gas drilling, which lead to cardiovascular diseases. So, we know that these things are there, and we know that that they have health impacts. But it's really hard to prove this link, especially in communities where the environmental stressors are already a lot. But the link is there.
For farm workers, it means contractors aren't prepared to help us. For example, if there's a chemical spill in the field, and the ambulances and the people who hired you aren't ready, they don't know what to do. That can be fatal for a person, because you don't know if they ingested the chemical or if they got it on their skin, and the people who can help are far away or don't know what to do. They don't know what to do, and in doing so, they fail us.
They fail us.
I remember that last conversation with Miss Sabrina, my niece. She asked her things from back home, how to make mole. Having to stay inside the house makes her surprise you with puzzling questions that hit the air and linger in the past. She asked, what's justice? At first I thought she was just her co-worker too. Then I considered out. Tía, para ti, ¿qué es la injusticia? My wording was not good. I knew she was asking about the fields. She thought I was beating around the bush. Pero dime, tía, ¿qué es la injusticia? She insisted, like somebody asking for the exact amount of water a pistachio tree needs to swim. Sabes, mija, I got the question. Justicia, injustice, is like a long, straight orchard you're forced to endure under a fall of pesticides. The sun gets hotter and hotter, caliente, caliente, como si estuvieras en un everlasting verano. Sometimes you think finding love is finding clouds, but these clouds are just nubes tóxicas racing over our heads. Clouds turn into heat waves, stroking us like streams of hot water. And even though you know this, lo sabes, ¿cierto? You must stay there. You are reduced to this. Sometimes you think that all of this is necessary. That maybe the only thing you were born to do is to keep everything alive in the long, long orchard. Todos vivos en la línea, te repites. And misguided, you think this orchard's the last orchard? The only orchard that keeps everything alive? ¿Qué mantiene la línea, mija? And you're convinced your destiny is this field. That you're necessary to it, like the sun is necessary for the grapes and the water for the almonds. And sometimes your mind plays tricks on you. You stop watering, you stop creeping, you find yourself sick, asking for changes. Por tus derechos. Some will argue that you're ignorant. You don't do it at all. And that the only way to leave these fields is to keep producing these monstrous diamonds that feed on these nubes tóxicas and the sun that does not cease. These monstrous fruits that people adore as paid for our original sin. You find your voice getting loud, asking for changes, or a woman to heal your bloody hands, or a turn to speak with your vecina del field. And you find your voice getting louder. I want to stop. To exit. Injusticia, mija, is that everyone, at some point in the long road to find service, their opportunity. Everyone is set free. Because it's trabajo seguro. Everyone says, short work. Work you endure. All the spraying indoors, and it's spent as fog, just as your long, long orchard endures. Then it's too late. Muy tarde, mijita. Te pica la piel, your stomach aches, la cabeza te quiere explotar, and you vomit without a plan. Injusticia también, mija, es tu fiebre que no acaba. The fever that feels like internal heat that never ends. The silence is over. The detour is live. Fever is forever, always in the long, long orchard. As your dead body keeps reaping, endlessly reaping, bleeding, and becoming the sprout of this life. Eso no más. Eso es injusticia.
Hey, Amir, don't hit your brother. You guys better play nice.
Play safe, guys.
And remember, if you guys get hungry, we have snacks.
Oh, look at them. You guys are being that age, running around like a carrot world.
Oh my god, yeah. And I remember always dusting you guys in tags, locals.
Girl, you're remembering wrong, because I definitely beat you at least a couple times.
Oh my god, and they would drink from the water hole.
Oh my god, the water was so sweet.
Now if we drink from the water hose, we might turn into Iron Man.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I would have got close enough to a magnet, it would stick to us.
Baby, I can't even drink tap water without feeling like I'm drinking from a community pool. Oh my god.
But it's not funny, is it? It's serious.
Girl, it's these damn farm owners. Oh, I mean, why should they have all the clean water?
Excuse me, my entire family came from farmers. You want to take water from us? Go ahead. But have fun shopping at empty grocery stores. Better idea. The city should build a dam. A dam to legislate water.
Well, excuse me? A dam? Baby, where I grew up, my family had a river that flowed right by our house. We had fish and tadpoles and all kinds of wildlife existed in that river. We would use that river for food, and we used the river for our gardens. But then they built the dam. And when it burst, it destroyed all of that. It's actually why me and my family moved back here.
Shit, we can't have anything.
Well,
Okay. Well, what if I tell you guys? You can't tell anyone else, okay?
okay.
Okay. So, my husband and I, we attended meetings at the city hall, and we offered the city a proposal. We wanted to collaborate with them in leading the city. And it was about getting some budget for some machines to clean dumpsters and restaurants, because that's what makes the insects so much worse, especially during the summertime. And we did all the hard work. We did the research, and we requested a loan for the machines that would clean and save water.
And?
And we still haven't heard a reply. What? And it's been over a year.
What is their goal? To make us die of dehydration and disease? I mean, they waste money on building these big old billboards and Amazon warehouses but neglect our actual needs. I mean, if this water crisis continues, this will be the first city to be affected.
And you know what else? Look at our neighborhood. Then look at the north side. Spot the difference.
Right. We have all kinds of people here. Latino, Black, Cherokee, Filipino. Yet when we need something fixed, it never gets done. And you know what? Look at the north side where the rich white people live. You won't see any potholes or rundown parks.
And anytime we do need to get anything serviced, we have to call the people multiple times to get it done.
You know, my youngest one, he's got allergies to the smoke and dust here in town. Oh, sweetie, 1 second. He's got asthma too. And he was healthy before we moved to the Central Valley. But all my son wants to do is go outside and play. And sometimes he can't even do that. The air quality is just too bad. I mean, he can't even go anywhere without his inhaler.
I mean, their quality did improve, but that was during COVID. Is that really what it takes for the environment to improve? A global pandemic?
I need a margarita.
Well, excuse me. Actually, tequila's destroying Mexican forests as we speak, making global warming even worse. Where I was born in Guadalajara, they cut down precious trees for precious tequila plants.
Oh, Lord.
I know. Another friend brewing cocktails. Sheesh.
Well, in my opinion, global warming doesn't count if it's not in the USA.
Sorry!
I'm joking.
Oh, we can't win. You know, when we moved back to the Central
Exactly. You know, I'm not going to settle for what they're trying to give us. If I see something wrong, I'm caught in the city, no matter how many times it takes.
Yep, all we can do is try our best.
Woo!
We can't keep living like this. I've been coughing on my lungs lately because of this pollution. I've been saying something bad's going to happen. Everyone's going to notice all the terrible things happening in the community. It's crazy.
From telling the Union of Sierra at 7 p.m. Community members in North Lake Road are crying out as their environment has been highly polluted with a harmful chemical that seems to have been inadvertently released from operations at Jaguar Institute. According to reports, 15 people are currently hospitalized, and residents are calling on local and state officials to address this immediately. Next.
I'm telling you, no one cares about the people, animals, plants. In fact, our whole earth. I mean, people are dying. The mayor protecting us?
Next joke, please. It's a lot like when we go back home, you know? Because of the mines and the water's contaminated too.
Yeah.
That's why when you're 35, you're considered old already.
I had no idea it was that bad out there.
Who's talking? You got me? Again?
People are starting to wake up and realize that these big manufacturing companies are poisoning us. We're sending people to the hospital. It's terrible.
We've been studying this for years.
But what about the suffering of the workers? Like, why isn't that being reported, huh? It's the same thing I faced in the country we were forced to leave. The suffering, the silence. I just can't believe it happens here.
Degraded water, bad air, no safety net, no one to protect these people.
What about the mayor, the town council? Oh, come on, they said they were going to help.
I think most of this community are so low income, most don't have jobs, no housing, they can't even get unemployment. And that's compounded by the fact that we have some of the worst air quality in the nation.
We need to hold these big corporations accountable. They can just pay a fine and carry on as we get sicker and sicker. We need to fight for a safer home, for crying out loud. Is that too much to ask for?
Hey guys, we're going viral on YouTube and TikTok. So many more hits and so many more people signing up to knock on doors before the next election. I can't believe we're actually making a difference.
I got to say, it's impressive how communities came together, demanding a government that actually protects its people.
We put our ideas out there, going to saving and creating better communities.
We won't give up. Once our government begins regulating these harmful industries and their toxins, we're going to keep on fighting for safer and cleaner communities. Starting right here and not stopping until we reach all the corners of the world, including your hometown.
One can hope for a better future. Let's do this.
Clean air now. Clean water now. Clean air now. Clean water now. These communities are exposed to higher levels of air and water pollution just because of where they live. People with lower incomes are forced to live in these areas. It's all they can afford. And on top of being exposed to higher levels of pollution, they're exposed to other
keep me company. It reminds me of something that happened last week. I was back home, and when I'm home, I try not to use my brain. So I mainly just watch my shows and read a couple books. And yes, I read for fun. But I wanted to go outside. And where I'm from, it gets pretty hot, but never like it is in Merced. We don't get a lot of shade in my backyard either, but we do have this one tree at the side of the house. Always so pretty in the fall. I was planning on just sitting in a chair on the patio, but I hadn't seen the tree in a while. And I wanted to know if it had gotten any taller since I'd last seen it. So, I walked beside the house and stood next to the tree. It looked pretty much the same as it was. No, that's not true. It sagged a little. Well, we are in a drought. And as I was looking at the tree, I remembered an article I had read one semester about an experiment done on plants to see if talking to them nicer could help them grow. So I wanted to conduct my own experiment. I put my hand next to a leaf and kindly asked it to move. Stood there for a couple seconds. Started to feel really stupid. But then the branch swayed and the leaf grazed my hand. So I moved my hand to another branch and I asked it again to move, for the leaf to touch me. And the same thing happened. I remember pulling my hand back, just standing there in shock, thinking, did this tree really just listen to me? I felt embarrassed for just thinking this up. I know what I saw. And you might say that there was just a breeze, though I don't remember there being one. I'd like to believe that the tree actually heard me, that it listened and moved. Nature isn't just way out there. It's right here. It's in our backyards. It's on campus. We can protect nature and benefit from it wherever we are. And hey, we too can root ourselves in our communities. We can reach our branches out to others. We can clean the air, reduce the heat. We can harness the sun. Just like you. Right, tree?
Change starts with us and moves out into our communities. Adrian Murray Brown says, we must be accountable for our time, for our earth, species, loved ones, from the inside out.
A recent article by UC Merced professors says that the best place for organizing environmental action is right here, in our communities.
States, counties, cities, neighborhoods, houses, when we take action where we live, we can make a difference.
And I heard about the Montana climate case. And what I heard was that 16 kids were able to win that case because they stated that pro-fossil fuel emissions deny them of their constitutional right to a clean environment. Now that is bravery, and voices were heard that day.
And in New York, citizens band together to form New Yorkers Against Fracking, which successfully led to a ban on fracking in that state.
We need to know what's happening in our region. So, we now have a mobile clinic that can assess air pollution. These monitors are small, portable, and easy to use, and they can better assess air pollution in that relation to health.
Local kids banded together to ask our city for parks, and they finally listened. The parks are being built.
Saturday mornings, two of my gal pals and I take a walk with trash pickers, bags, gloves. It's good exercise. We make our streets prettier and safer. And we keep that garbage away from the wildlife damage.
I stopped spraying pesticides and started growing bee-friendly plants in my yard. Actually, I don't really think of it as a yard anymore. I think of it as an ecosystem.
Ecology, from the Greek word for home. It means the study of where we live and how to protect it. The earth is our home.
California is our home. The San Joaquin Valley is our home.
Merced is our home.
The humans, plants, animals are our family. The water, air, fire, earth are our home and our sustenance.
We're all we got.
Let's say